Hi, this is Al Bernstein. You're watching Dante's Boxing Nation.
Showtime Sean Porter, and you're watching Dante's Boxing Nation.
Dante's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? You know, some of these headlines can be misleading when you're reading the news, the boxing news and everything, because I ran past an article about 3 days ago, and the title read, Juan Marquez eyes Porter versus Brook winner, right? And soon as I read that, my eyes lit up, because I basically said, oh man, this is great. This is the type of fight that we need in the division, right? I mean, I'm a journalist, but I'm a boxing fan, number one. And I can tell you right now, this is the type of fight that I want to see. Juan Marquez versus the winner of Sean Porter and Kell Brook. I mean, hell, if Bernard Hopkins at 50 can fight against Sergey Kovalev, a champion in his division, then someone like Juan Marquez, who's in the same position as Bernard Hopkins, only difference is he's a lot younger than Bernard Hopkins, he should have no problem fighting against one of these young lions, one of these young champions in his division, right? So moving on and getting to this article that I read. Like I said, I'm pretty stoked, you know, when I see the headline, oh man, you know, Marquez is stepping up. I'm already thinking about the video I'm about to make where I'm about to congratulate Marquez for stepping his game up. And, you know, this is a good look for Marquez. This is what I'm already thinking in my head as I'm looking at this headline. But then when I read the article, first thing I noticed, because I was trying to scroll through it when I first opened the article, first thing I seen was Marquez will be ringside, right? See, at the time I was driving, I didn't have time to read the whole article, so that's all that I got. So to me, that pretty much confirmed that, oh, Marquez is serious. Oh, wait a minute, he's sitting ringside too? So that means he really wants this fight. Because the last time Marquez sat ringside, it was at the last Bradley fight, Bradley versus Provodnikov, right? So just reading these snippets of a whole article, instead of reading the whole thing, led me to believe that it was pretty much official, that Marquez was going to fight the winner of Porter versus Brook. All we had to figure out was a date, right? That's the conclusion I came up with. This is the reason why you always have to read the whole article, because it wasn't until I read the full article that's when I became disappointed. Because the very first sentence that I read was Juan Marquez's promoter, Fernando Beltran, would love to match Juan Marquez against the winner of next Saturday's fight between Sean Porter and Kell Brook. And then the article goes on to say Marquez will be ringside. Once again, I assumed when I seen Marquez will be ringside, they meant he's going to be sitting ringside watching the results of the Porter versus Kell Brook fight. But now that I read the whole article, I found out that Marquez is actually going to be there working the corner of Daniel Estrada, who's going to be challenging Omar Figueroa. So he's not there for the Kell Brook Porter fight. He's there to work someone's corner, okay? So then the article reads, Beltran is very interested in having Marquez face the winner in a major event on Mexican soil. Marquez also likes the idea, but first, the 40-year-old veteran wants to determine if he intends to continue his career. Quote, I would love to fight in Mexico with Porter or Brook. Both are great fighters. It would be a great fight with both. We have to see if the promoters are willing to negotiate. But first, I have to decide if I plan to continue in this sport, said Marquez, end quote. Now that article was going good until Marquez said, but first, I have to decide if I'm going to continue my career or retire. That doesn't sound too positive. It doesn't sound too positive, and I'll tell you why. First of all, they're willing to give Marquez everything that he said that he wanted. Marquez wanted to win a title at the welterweight division. He has that opportunity. Marquez wanted to fight in Mexico. I know for a fact Sean Porter and his father, Kenny Porter, they would be willing to fight Juan Marquez any place, anytime. So you have a fight in Mexico, you have a championship fight, everything that Marquez could ask for, he has. And he's still saying to himself, I have to figure out if I'm going to retire or not. To me, that doesn't sound 100% confident. Don't get me wrong. This fight can still happen. I think right now it's in the air. It's 50-50. This fight just may happen. But the way I interpret this article is it's the promoter, Fernando Beltran, who really wants this fight, not Juan Marquez. Juan Marquez, he's just basically complimenting what his promoter is saying. But I don't know if he really wants this fight as much as his promoter wants to fight. Just like the WBO president really wanted the Marquez versus Provodnikov fight. He wanted that fight desperately. But guess what? It was Marquez who didn't want the fight. Okay? The WBO president flew out to Mexico to urge Marquez to take the fight between him and Provodnikov. And Marquez still didn't budge. He still didn't take the fight. Instead, we know the story. He decided to fight the guy that Provodnikov knocked out, Mike Alvarado. So the question is, how will this story play out between Marquez thinking about fighting the winner of Porter versus Kell Brook? I think a fight like this really solidifies Juan Manuel Marquez's legacy. I mean, yeah, sure, he had the knockout win over Manny Pacquiao, and that's going to make him one of the greatest Mexican fighters of all time. But if he could beat one of the current welterweight champions of the world right now, that would make him pound for pound, top 3, top 5 at least, one of the best fighters in the world. Okay? Because right now, let's be realistic about this. Let's not beat around the bush and be realistic. If you were to put or match up Juan Marquez against Keith Thurman, Sean Porter, Floyd Mayweather, even Manny Pacquiao, and whoever else you could think of on the top of the welterweight division, I think we could all agree that Marquez would most likely lose the majority of those fights. And even the fights you don't believe he'll lose, you believe that those fights are going to be 50-50. I'll tell you right now, if that is the case, then truly Marquez is not a pound-for-pound champion. He's not a pound-for-pound champion. And I truly believe that Marquez beating someone like a Sean Porter, someone like a Kell Brook, the real champion at the welterweight division, one of them, this would catapult him back into that top 5, back into that pound-for-pound list. Okay? Once again, guys, I know you love Marquez, but you can't say he's one of the best fighters in the world pound for pound if you know that he can't beat any of the guys at the top of the division, right? We put fighters like Andre Ward, Floyd Mayweather, Guillermo Rigo, we put them at the top of the pound for pound list because we all believe that no one can really beat him, right? When it comes to Golovkin, I criticize Golovkin, but I don't believe anyone can beat him at the middleweight division. I believe a lot of fighters can beat Juan Marquez. And it doesn't matter what his age is because, once again, Bernard Hopkins is 50 years old. I've always believed a lot of fighters can beat Juan Marquez at the welterweight division and even the 140-pound division. This is Juan Marquez's opportunity and chance to prove the boxing world wrong and put himself back at the top of the sport and at the top of the division. Okay? If you're not going to fight Manny Pacquiao, what are you going to do next? So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. If he's going to retire or he's going to take on this challenge. Juan Marquez, he has no reason to turn down this fight. Once again, I'm going to say it again. He has everything, at least when it comes to Sean Porter. I can't speak for Kell Brook. But when it comes to Sean Porter, Marquez has no reason to turn that fight down because Team Porter will give Marquez everything that Marquez is asking for, except for a win, of course. Hopefully Marquez does step up and fight the winner of this fight, and we'll see what happens. I'm on to the next one.